Hello, and welcome back to your South King County real estate update. My name's Sarah Eggleston with Stone Egg Realty at Berkshire Hathaway, and I am back to deliver your local real estate news for the month. I'll go ahead and jump right into these slides because we got some exciting stuff today. So it is April 2025, and as I said, this is your South King County real estate update. And it's been 5 years since the first episode of South King County Real Estate Update aired. I cannot believe that it's been 5 years already. I love doing this show and bringing you current, relevant information about the real estate market in King County and nationally. The time has flown by. I just can't believe it's been 5 years. So, thank you so much for 5 years of this amazing show. And a couple announcements. I do have a class coming up May 8th at 6 p.m., and it's how to break up with your landlord. Stop paying their mortgage and start building your own equity. So this is geared towards first-time home buyers. But if you haven't purchased a home in a while and are thinking about making that leap of selling your house and buying your next, I highly recommend that you join us because things change quickly in the industry. So May 8th at 6 p.m., that's a Thursday. And the renovation loan workshop has been rescheduled. The date that we're playing with right now is May 29th, but stay tuned for any changes on that. But May 29th at 6 p.m. is the renovation loan virtual workshop. So this is the loan type that my husband and I used to buy our first house. And it really allowed us to make it our own. There was a lot of work that needed to be done. And just to be able to find something that had less competition for it and be able to come in and renovate it within a certain period of time was amazing. We never would have been able to afford a house as nice as we currently have if we had gone a more traditional route. So if you are an HGTV do-it-yourself watcher and want to give it a go yourself, this is a really great way to do that with safety nets in place and be able to do that renovation and create your perfect home. And my spring buyer and seller guides are available. There's also a first-time home buyer guide. So if you would like one of these, let me know and I will get one over to you. I can get you a hard copy or email you a PDF. Super simple, tons of great information in these little guides. So into the news. Spring wakes up the Seattle area housing market. Spring is the beginning of the busy season for real estate. Pretty much every year, we see the same cycle. And there were more homes that hit the market last month than the month before as we head into the spring and summer time. March's new listings were up 15% in King County compared to a year ago. These new listings are drawing buyers out of the woodwork. I've had a ton more buyer inquiries than I had in the prior months. So if you are looking at selling a home, now is a really great time to get your house ready, get it on the market. And if you're looking to buy, reach out and we'll see what we got going on for you. And it's all very specific to your personal situation as far as when's the right time, what the right price point is, all of that. So spring market is heating up though. So reach out sooner than later. And the median home price in King County rose 3.3% from 1 year ago, which is a pretty normal appreciation rate. So you can see this January gets busier in the spring and summer, dips down in the winter time, and then now we are headed back up into the spring market, keeping strong on those prices. And condo prices have also climbed. So in King County, the median condo price was up 9% in March from 1 year ago. And despite the activity, some agents in the area are considering this a more balanced market. It's far from what we saw in the pandemic. That was crazy, crazy times. So we're not seeing any of that, but definitely picking up and having a better market for buyers than we had a couple years ago. And buyers are coming out. So if you're thinking about selling, the buyers are out there. This is for median price for home and condo sales. This year's the dark blue. Compared to last year, we are outpacing in all areas in the home sales. For condos, North King is slightly behind where it was last year on prices, but pretty much everywhere else is either on par or ahead of where we were last year. For the number of home and condo sales, we're outpacing in Seattle, Southwest King, and Southeast King. North King and East Side have seen fewer sales this March than they did a year ago, but pretty common numbers here as far as the number of home sales compared to 1 year ago. Condo sales, everywhere but Southeast King is outpacing the number of home sales than we had 1 year ago in March. So taking a look at the broader economy, the national economy remains a wild card for the housing market this spring, and consumer confidence has plummeted on the news of potential global trade war tariffs, and some national economists have raised the odds of a recession. Recession and job declines could set the Seattle area market back for a repeat of a weak 2023 market, but mortgage rates do tend to drop during economic downturns. So that really, I think, will spur a lot more demand for buying a home. Home prices do continue to appreciate during a recession, whereas like the stock market is not the same. The activity across the region was uneven. Some Seattle area real estate agents said buyer traffic and the number of new listings was weaker than the typical March and typical start to the spring season. But that's not what I have been seeing. I've seen a lot more buyers out this spring compared to a year ago. We are still radically low on supply, and the supply of homes in King County in March was 1.86 months. So this is a theoretical number. If no new homes came to the market starting today and homes kept selling at the same rate, we would run out of homes in 1.86 months. A year ago, it was 1.23. So a little more inventory on the market than last year. There are some homes that are sitting on the market a little bit longer. That's honestly great news for buyers because you don't have to make a decision in like 2 seconds of whether you want to purchase the house or not. You can actually think about it overnight, and the house will probably still be there tomorrow, depending on the house and when it came on the market and all that. But overall, homes are sitting on the market just a little bit longer than they were last year. And that brings us to our hyperlocal breakdown. New listings for Kent, Renton, Auburn, and Federal Way. We did see fewer new listings come on in March for Kent, but are pretty significantly up in Renton, Auburn, and Federal Way. Pending sales, Kent and Renton are down from where we were 1 year ago, but only slightly. And Auburn is up pretty significantly from where it was 1 year ago. Federal Way is also up. Median days on market, homes are sitting on the market a little bit longer than they were last year. Federal Way is actually flat at 8 days. Kent is up 16% or so. Renton up 80%. And Auburn, things are sitting on the market in Auburn a lot longer than they were last year, up 166% to 16 days. So last year they were moving pretty quickly at this time of year, and this year things are moving a bit slower in Auburn. Median sales price, look at this big jump up for Renton from last month, and it is up 10% from 1 year ago, 10% in Auburn as well. Kent and Federal Way are a little bit more common numbers. Federal Way is up 6% and Kent up 1.6. For interest rates, last month, our 30-year fixed was at 6.67 a month ago. And for our daily, it was 6.72. If we look at this week's weekly average mortgage rate, it's at 6.83. So things have gone up just a little bit. Things were headed down, and then changes in the political climate, mainly to do with the tariffs and what that could possibly mean for the nation, jumped the rates up, but they have come down a little bit since this, because this is a weekly average. So this is basically a Monday, Tuesday to Monday, Tuesday comparison. So here on Friday, things are looking a little bit different, which we'll get to in just a second. 10-year Treasury yield, which lenders generally kind of use as a guide for pricing home loans, had climbed to around 4.8 in mid-January, spiked last week at 4.5. So it fell from January until last week, and then it spiked back up. And the increase in mortgage rates may put off some would-be homebuyers during what's traditionally the busiest period of the year for home sales. Last week, mortgage applications fell 8.5% from 1 week earlier. Forecasts earlier in the year were predicting that rates would remain around 6.5% this year. But looking forward, competing economic forces are pulling mortgage rates in opposite directions, making it increasingly difficult to predict where they'll land. For buyers, the smartest move is to stress test their budgets across a range of possible rate scenarios to stay prepared no matter which way the winds shift. A small change in interest rates can affect how much you can afford per month, affect the amount of house you can afford pretty significantly. So keep an eye on those rates, be prepared to pay a little bit more. Overall, we're expecting things to head down throughout the year, but like this says, things are volatile. So just make sure that you're comfortable with that monthly payment and you'll be good going forward. If the rates drop, great, you can refinance. If they go up, then you're going to look like a genius for having a rate that's at our current levels. For today's interest rate, we're at 6.87. So we did last week come down quite a bit from this peak here. And then we've come up just a little bit in the last couple days. But overall, they expect to have a downward trend. What you need to keep an economy chugging is businesses investing, businesses hiring, and people spending money. If people are apprehensive about whether their jobs are going to go away or whether there are going to be more layoffs in the future, you're going to start seeing a pullback on spending. And that's from Groundwork Collective. And another quote here from the chief economist at Moody's Analytics: the risks of a US recession starting in the coming year are uncomfortably high and rising. I would put them at 35%, up from 15% at the start of the year. But remember that headlines do more to terrify than they do to clarify. There's a lot of really scary headlines out there right now, a lot like the 2008 bubble, worrying about housing market indicator is a level not seen since the Great Recession. Recession will destroy home buyers. What comes next is hell. This is sensationalized because these people are trying to sell newspapers. So things are meant to be kind of clickbait on these things. But what is actually happening? A recession does not mean falling housing prices. So these are the last 6 recessions, all the way back to 1980. And home prices throughout those recessions, 4 of them, they did go up. 1991, it came down just a little bit, but not anything catastrophic. 2008 is the only time we've seen a drastic drop in home prices during a recession, but that's because the housing market kind of caused it. Overall, it's a really great way to hedge your equity against the recession. So homes are a good way to secure your money and build equity even when the markets are not super great. A lot of people have this idea that home prices fall during recessionary periods. There's not really much of a connection between home prices and recessionary periods, other than, of course, the great financial crisis. Recession, what it does mean in the housing market is falling mortgage rates. Looking at those 6 recessions in the past, mortgage rates did pretty significantly decrease most of these times. So keep an eye out for that. And if you purchase now and mortgage rates go down, remember that you can refinance. The number of new homes on the market reaches highest level since 2009. And this is a national stat here. The number of new homes on the market, we have an increasing amount of inventory that is on the market nationally. This means more homes on the market and more options for buyers, which is good news for a housing market that has been underbuilt for decades. Newly built homes accounted for about 31% of the homes sold as of February 2025. Over 30% of all new homes for sale were newly built. Seeing that increase in new inventory is really great because we were underbuilt for so long. And looking at mortgage rates over the last year or so, it's been volatile. Generally, since January, been going down. And then we had that big spike up last week, and we are gradually coming down again. So just one last reminder about my upcoming classes. How to break up with your landlord, stop paying their mortgage, and start building your own equity is May 8th. And the renovation virtual workshop, tentatively May 29th. That's kind of the date that we're toying with. But stay tuned. I'll keep you posted if that changes. And the spring buyer and seller guides, let me know if you would like one. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. My phone number and email address are on the screen there. I would love to have a conversation with you about the market in your area or potentially an area you're interested in moving to. Just grab a cup of coffee, chat. I can do it over Zoom, whatever's easiest for you. Would just love to have that conversation. So thank you so much for joining me for 5 years. I cannot believe it's been 5 years. Wow. Thank you so much. I love doing this show and plan to continue to do so for the indefinite future. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. And otherwise, I will see you next month.